Am I wrong for refusing to lend my friend my house for her wedding after she asked me for a paternity test, resulting in her having to cancel the wedding? My friend Sandra and I have known each other for over 20 years. We are 30 and 32. Sandra is getting married to Andres and I'm married to Ian. Some relevant information. Andres and I originally come from the same country and even the same region. We share many characteristics. We both have very round faces, deep brown eyes, long straight black hair. If you didn't know better, you might assume we are siblings. I met Andres 6 years ago and introduced him to Sandra. He proposed 2 years ago. I own a beautiful property in my home country that I was ready to lend to Sandra and Andres for their wedding. My property is like a finca and has 10 rooms. Usually I would rent it out for weddings at a somewhat high price, but I was happy to give it to them at no cost, with the condition that they hire their own catering and have their guests strip their beds when they leave. The issue. 3 months ago, Sandra became more reclusive. She wouldn't answer my texts and we didn't meet up. 2 weeks ago, she appeared at my door with Andres. They sat us down, my husband included, and she said she suspected that my daughter is actually Andres' biological daughter and requested a paternity test for peace of mind. I was so shocked that I couldn't say anything. My husband lost his temper and raised his voice, telling Sandra that she was being absolutely stupid. Sandra pointed out that my daughter looks like Andres. I explained that Andres and I look alike. She kept shaking her head, saying my daughter would look more like my husband and not like my exact copy. The evening ended poorly. I agreed to the test if they paid for it. The results came back last Friday, showing that Andres was not the father. We also did a test confirming that my husband is the father. Sandra cried and tried to hug me. I told her I didn't want to and that I didn't want to be friends with her for the time being. She kept saying her worries were justified and made a comment about women from your country being more likely to do that. In that moment, I was filled with anger. I told her she could forget about using the venue and that I didn't want her in my life anymore. She started crying, but I made her leave. Her mom and her have been texting me saying they can't find a new venue. I still said no. 20 minutes ago, Sandra called me sobbing, saying that the wedding is off because of me. Am I the asshole? Should I have let her use the venue at the usual price, or was what I did okay? Just to note, Andres was not chill about this. He seemed exasperated. He was quite upset and basically just agreed to this so she would drop it. I didn't include it because I did not see the relevance for the conflict between me and Sandra.
Mother-in-law's game destroyed my parents' lives. I want my fiance to go no contact. I'm getting married in May, and right now I feel like everything is falling apart. My fiance's mom, Claire, has always hated me and has been nothing short of an evil bitch. But at the same time, I get she is his mom. She was by all accounts an excellent mom, and he does love her. Don't get me wrong. He will set boundaries and put her in her place, but he isn't ready for no contact. My mom recently got caught having an affair with mother-in-law's best friend, Brad. To say it has blown up my family feels like an understatement. Now I know my mom bears the responsibility, but from everything she is telling me, it sounds like Brad was the aggressor. My mom has a lot of self-esteem issues, and then comes this very good-looking, charismatic man, and it was just the perfect storm. Well, I recently found out that Brad and mother-in-law had some game going on where they both got to pick someone for the other to sleep with. He picked his ex-wife's fiance, and my mother-in-law picked my mom. I have never felt such rage or disgust in my life. I want to drive to her house and rip all of her stupid hair out. My fiance confronted her and she said it was just a game and a joke and claimed it was only fair after how my mom and her friends bullied her. At this point, I truly believe her and Brad are sociopaths because who barters sex for some sort of game? I told my fiance he needs to go no contact with her and uninvite her from the wedding. He has been absolutely distraught and feels I'm asking too much because at the end of the day, she is still his mom.
I'm running hot today. Blood boiling. Let me tell you what happened. I achieved a dream. I bought a Dyson Airwrap recently. Was it new? No. Refurbished. Discounted. Walmart.com. Stopped working within a week. Good. Hair flat. Spirit crushed. I said, that's okay. I'll take it back. I'll get my $378.86 back. Maybe order Postmates 4 times. Who knows? Don't get crazy. I take it in. Walmart. Give it to her. She keeps it. Gives me a little ticket. FedEx tracking link. I said, okay, great. I go home 5 days later. I check the tracking link. I say, maybe my Airwrap's over Minnesota. Turns out it was nowhere to be found. Package not found. I said, okay. I get on Walmart.com, start chatting with Joe, customer service. He says, yeah, there's no record of that return. You're going to need to go back to the store. I said, really? Good, good, good. So I wake up this morning. I say, Teresa, today's the day. I've been dreading this, but I got to do it. I go into Walmart. I walk up to the customer service desk. There's a beautiful woman there, neon green wig, bedazzled teeth, Charlotte. I say, hello, Charlotte. Here's what happened. She goes, I heard about that package. I said, there's lore? She goes, yeah, it's in the back. I said, really? A week later? She goes, I'll go find it for you. The customer service rep from before was never supposed to take it from you at all. She was just supposed to print the FedEx label, slap it on, and give it back to you for you to send. I said, why did she do what she did? She goes, I said, what do I do? She goes, I said, okay, good. We're off to a good start here, aren't we? She goes, yeah, I have to find someone to take my spot at the customer service desk for a minute. We look at a manager, we make eye contact. The manager turns, walks away. We say, good, good, good. So I stand there for about 15 minutes, making eye contact with Charlotte like this. Hey, finally, hey, there's a cat. Finally, she finds someone to come take her spot. She goes to the back, meanders, comes back carrying my box all wrapped up like a mummy. I said, my ear wrap. She goes, here you go. Pull up the email that the girl sent you from before whenever she did your return. I said, I never got an email. She goes, good. Okay. She goes, I'm going to have to go talk to a team lead. I said, okay. She leaves. She goes, I'll be right back. 25 minutes go by. Where's Charlotte? Where's Charlotte? Another lady walks by. I say, hi, Charlotte was supposed to come back. She goes, oh, she's in hardware. I said, where's that? She goes, I'll take you. So I'm carrying my box like a newborn babe over to hardware. There's Charlotte just chatting with a woman named Mandy. I say, hey, Charlotte, you left me high and dry. She goes, oh, I was over here. Were you? Okay. So then we're talking to Mandy. Mandy goes, well, you bought this from Dyson through Walmart and the return window ended yesterday. I said, yeah, but it wouldn't have ended if your customer service rep didn't botch the return in the first place. And I'm being so sweet. I'm being so patient. I'm not trying to end up on TikTok for all the wrong reasons. You know what I mean? My name doesn't start with a K or end with an Aaron. It's Teresa. So she goes, okay, I'm going to help you out. It's a lot of money. I said, yeah, it's a lot of money. At this point, I've been there for 45 minutes. She's calling people. She's calling. 10 people. I'm sitting there next to the trash cans like the little piece of shit that I am. Finally, she gets on hold with the big boss, the Wario of Walmart. I hear him say on the other line, just make the customer happy. I said, well, you got to write me a prescription for that, buddy, but we can start with the money. She goes, okay, we're giving you cash. I said, hell yeah, Mandy. Me, Mandy, Charlotte. Start walking back to the customer service desk like Charlie's Angels. I'm pointing my air wrap at anybody that'll look me in the eyes. We get to the front. Then they go, well, we can't give you cash because we don't have that authority. We're going to have to find another manager. I said, okay. It's been about an hour and 15 minutes at this point, holding my defective item. She goes, all the managers are in a meeting. I said, you got to interrupt the meeting. She goes, we can't interrupt the meeting. I said, okay. I sit there for 30 more minutes. Finally, the same manager that we made eye contact with an hour and a half before walks out of the back. They go, hey, we need your help. She goes, well, I was just in the back doing paperwork. Why didn't you come find me? My soul left my body. I said audibly, I'm about to lose it. She looks at me. She goes, okay, let me help you. I said, good idea. So she takes me over to the desk again. She goes, I can give you a gift card. I said, you got to do me one better, babe. She goes, I can then cash out the gift card and give you cash. I said, great, let's do that. She cashes it out. She hands it to me. She goes, see, I did it. I pinched her cheeks hard. I said, good job. I leave. No Dyson ear wrap. $378.86 in my pocket. Shred of dignity to my name.
I'm getting ready to go break up with a girlfriend. So why am I breaking up with a friend? Well, I think I'm just in my season of try me once, shame on me, try me twice, get the F out. It's more like try me 5,000 times because I'm such a nice, understanding soul that I give everyone a billion chances to make their wrongs right. But I also have a zero tolerance for drama, and this person really did bring a lot of drama to my life that, like, girl, I don't have time for. Like, I'm a businesswoman, I have meetings, I have business ventures to attend to. The main reason this person is going to be cut, can you guys take a guess? Well, it's the ye old, this person got a boyfriend and forgot I existed. I am no one's second, third, fourth chopped liver choice, nunca jamás. Like, even in high school, if I sensed that I wasn't wanted, girl, bye, see you never. And they always come back. And it's like, girl, too late. And you know, when you can, like, feel que tienes una envidiosa, you have an envidiosa, someone that's kind of jealous of you, just projecting el mendigo ojo at you all the time, just get really bad vibes around this person. And anytime I say anything to them, like, about my life or something exciting, it's like I'm talking to a freaking wall, like, I'm talking right through her. I'm talking right through them. I'm gonna keep it gender neutral. Anything I say to them, it's like, great, I have a boyfriend. Like, okay, perra, me too. Okay, me too, but it's not my personality trait, babe. Come on. Personally, I just do not have it in me to go through another friendship where my friend just cancels on me every single time. Because, oh, my man needs me. No, he doesn't need you. What he needs is a mother. Come on, girl, it's supposed to be a hot girl summer. And yes, it could still be a hot girl summer and have a man. They're not mutually exclusive. And trust me, I'm not trying to be toxic or anything. Like, I value my relationships a lot. And I know when you start a relationship, you know, you're busy, you have to split your time up. Like, I get it. I don't think I'm being unreasonable. And we're literally hanging out. This person's like, I'm gonna go see like, Jackson or whatever. And they think it's funny. I think it's haha. They think like we're not laughing together. I'm laughing at you. Anyway, this girl literally told me straight up that she prefers to spend time with her boyfriend than me because she has more fun with him. So I'm like, well, that's all I really need to know, huh? The only reason I'm making this a thing, like, telling her, hey ho, I don't want to talk to you no more, is because we were supposed to go on a trip together and now she wants to bring her man and his friends, and I'm like, no, absolutely not in the mood to go on a girls and a guy trip. Like, no, babe, it was called a girls trip for a reason. Okay, boys, this is the breakup, makeup. Wish me luck, I have to go. I'm literally gonna tell her, and she's gonna be like, okay, I'm going to my boyfriend's house. So let me set the scene real quick. We were going to be at an event together that night that I was going to talk to her. I really wanted to go into it with an open mind and an open heart. You know, deep down, I'm like, let me give her one more chance before I break up with her in front of everyone. But just wait. After dinner, we were all going to go to the club for a little spin to celebrate one of our mutual friends' birthday. And as soon as we're about to leave, she looks at her phone and then she looks up at me and she says, you know, I think I'm going to leave early. I really want to go see my man. I'm literally not even kidding. She's ditching us once again. And we're out as a group and she's ditching all of us to go hang out with her guy. And I was gonna wait till the end of the night to talk to her privately, but I was like, this is the perfect moment. I just pulled her to the side, not in front of anyone else, because I don't want to make a scene. I'm not a confrontational person. And I just tell her straight up, again, very respectfully, I'm not a drama person. I'm like, hey, I really don't think we're gonna keep working out. You have blown us off like this countless times at this point. We barely see you, never see you alone anymore. Like, I feel like you're not present, you're not being an active friend. And again, like I said in the last video, the main reason I wanted to tell her this is because I'm not going on no Miami's girls trip with your man. She wanted to bring her man to Miami, ho? Miami? Hail to the no. Hail to the no. Her reaction kind of really shocked me, and I think it's important to talk about. And her reaction was to literally flip it around and say, actually no, it's your fault that I'm never around. I felt like I was back in high school with like a narcissistic gaslighting boyfriend. You're the one who does X, Y, and Z, like literally just pulling stuff out of her ass. And at that moment, like, it was very obvious to me that this person was projecting. I think she was basically just saying that she was a great friend and the reason we don't see her as often is because it's my fault. And I couldn't even explain to you how it was my fault. Like, I don't know what I do. I invite her places, I make plans, I include her, I do all the things, and then she just never comes, or she comes and stays for like max an hour and leaves to go see her man. And in that moment, you kind of just know you're talking to a wall, you know? This person is so set in their ways that I don't have the energy to fight with them, and I kind of know my truth. I feel peace with my opinion. I'm not trying to be toxic. And at that point, I'm kind of pissed, but I'm gonna call her out respectfully, and I say, okay, well, if you're such like a present great friend, why do you leave every single time we hang out? Why are you leaving right now on our friend's birthday? And again, it's somehow my fault because I didn't plan it with enough time and tell her in advance, even though she just last minute decided to see her man. So I'm like, how does it, like, what is this? It's not even my birthday. Like, I didn't plan the birthday, damn. If I wouldn't take this behavior from a man, I'm not gonna take it from a bitch. I'm not gonna lie, when she spun everything around on me, it did feel really bad, and I kind of started to doubt myself. Like, now looking back, I don't think I did anything wrong. I think I just drew a boundary and I wanted to kind of respect my own boundaries, and that was it. She didn't apologize, she didn't seem to care. So that's my point here, is sometimes when you bring up things that genuinely bother you with a person, and if all they do is turn it around and blame you, chances are their reaction is just saying way more about them than it is about you. It tells you who that person is, and you get to decide if you want to keep them in your life or not. For me, I don't want this person in my life anymore, and that's fine. No hate, no malice, peace and love, but girl, don't call me, don't text, don't want to see you, bye.
My parents sold me their lake house, and now my sister wants me to move out because she wants her honeymoon at my house. Now she's threatening to uninvite me. My house used to belong to my parents, but they sold it to me in 2017. It had been a family vacation home of sorts. Every couple of years when my grandparents were alive, they'd invite us kids up there for a week. Fast forward to the end of 2016. My sister got accepted to her dream college. I won't say which, but it's a big one. Everyone was excited and proud of her, me too. But a week later, my parents called to ask if I'd found a house. I was looking for one, and my family knew about it. I'd been saving up since I started my first job at 20. I said no. So my dad suggested I buy the lake house from them. I asked why they wanted to sell it. It turns out sis didn't have any savings for college and didn't get some scholarship like she'd planned, and our parents couldn't afford to pay for everything either. I asked why she didn't get student loans, and they said they didn't want her ruining her credit. So their solution was to sell the lake house and use the money to finance her college. I had many good memories of the lake house, so I eventually agreed. I work via computer, so after getting a good internet connection, I moved right in and have been there since. My girlfriend moved in permanently last year before lockdown, and it's been pretty blissful. In 2019, my sister and her college boyfriend got engaged. Her parents agreed to pay for her wedding, but like with every other wedding around, things got set back. Sis had to postpone her wedding until this year. She plans to have it in December. I even agreed to be in the bridal party. Issues arose recently when my sis asked where I would stay for the 2 weeks after her wedding. Puzzled, I answered my house. She got a sour look and said that wouldn't work, that her fiancé would be there and that they wanted private time. I asked why they'd be at my house, and she said that's where they were on their honeymoon. 2 weeks alone at a lake house. I said that was news to me. She insisted our parents said it was fine, but I said it wasn't their place to decide about my house. After arguing, she called our parents, who said I was being unreasonable. I said I didn't want my sister and her fiancé christening their new union by effing in my house. They said I was being gross and selfish. I said no again, so my sister threatened to remove me from the bridal party. I just shrugged and said okay. She started crying, saying she already couldn't have her dream wedding like she wanted, and now I was trying to ruin her honeymoon, too. I told her to rent a hotel room like every other newlywed couple, then hung up. She's not speaking to me, and I'm not invited to the wedding. Our parents kept calling me and saying I should do this for her since her wedding was only 1/3 of what she wanted, but I'm not comfortable with them staying unsupervised at my house. They're making me feel like a monster for saying no. Am I the a-hole? Update. Well, I learned something new today. I spoke to my sister and asked her if she knew the lake house was legally my house. As in, I bought it years ago. She was not aware of this. She was under the impression from our parents that they were letting me live there for free. I corrected her and even showed her proof they sold the house to me. And when she asked why they sold it, I was honest and said it was to pay for her college tuition/lifestyle. She became quiet after that and we soon hung up. No idea what's going to happen now.
How a girl bullied me because I was new at school. Because I couldn't finish my high school at my own school, I had to go to another school after 3 years. First few weeks were very hard because everyone already made their friends. I wasn't the only new girl because there also was a girl transferring from another class to my new class, and for some kind of reason my classmates were scared of her. They told me she'd fought with some people the year before I came there and that it was better for me to stay away from her. I did my best to stay away from her, but after a few weeks I sat in front of her during economics class. Always had 2 friends with her who did everything for her, like some kind of minions. That day, all 3 of them sat behind me. During the entire class, they were giggling and gossiping behind my back. At some point, we had to work for ourselves and do our homework. We weren't even working for like 5 minutes and this girl throws her pencil under my chair. So I turned around and she said, "Pick it up." I said, "What?" Said, "Pick it up." I said, "You pick it up yourself." Looked at her friends like, she's not obeying me? Okay, so she throws her pencil under my chair and she goes, "Pick it up." So I said, "You pick it up yourself." And she said, "But it's under your chair." I was like, I'm not gonna take orders from her. So I said, "Yeah, but it's your pencil. So if you want to have it back, you gotta pick it up yourself. Or maybe one of your friends can pick it up for you." Next to me sat one of my friends and she was really scared of this bully girl. So she looks at me, picks up the pencil and gives it back to her. I was like, what are you doing? But because of this, I made clear that she shouldn't mess with me. So for the rest of the year, she left me alone. Until we went on a trip to Berlin. From the moment I set foot on the bus, I became this girl's target again. Let's call her Lisa. So Lisa and her minions were sitting in the back of the bus together with the popular guys. They were laughing and calling my name, running up to my seat, looking at me and running back. Very weird behavior. But I wasn't in the mood to have an argument, so I just kind of let them. When we arrived in Berlin, we went to do some sightseeing with the entire class. Lisa and her 2 friends were walking behind me. All of a sudden, I felt someone touching my back, like really quick, like ticking, like this. Every time I looked behind me, they were laughing like, like that. And the girl next to me turned around and said, "Can you please stop doing that?" Lisa goes, "Huh? What? We're not doing anything." I said, "Yeah, you are. You're touching my back the entire time." "Oh, what about it? It's funny." That's when I thought, I can't take this anymore. I said, "You were getting at me since the very start. You were whispering my name and laughing behind my back, and now you're touching my back the entire time? This is just not funny." That's when the rest of the class figured out something was going on. Guys were trying to get us to fight. We were waiting for the train, and that's when one of the guys, who was supposed to be my friend, said, "Selma, calm down." Peter, thank you so much for getting involved. The entire time they're bullying me, you're silent. And now I'm standing up for myself. You're suddenly gonna speak up? Okay, so we were waiting for the train to go to the next activity. And all of a sudden, Peter got involved. I said, Peter, thank you so much for getting involved. The entire time they're bullying me, you're silent. And the second I stand up for myself, you're gonna speak up? I said, why? Peter can speak his opinion. Then the train arrived and we got into separate coupes. I was in the same coupe as a lot of the guys and the same girl who walked next to me in the beginning. Anna and her minions sat in the other coupe, so we couldn't go to each other. Train took about 15 minutes and the girl who walked next to me in the beginning was on a rant. Let's call her Sabrina. She said, if this Lisa is gonna hit me, I'm gonna hit her back. So the guys were like, there's gonna be a fight. And they were totally hyping her up. Like, yes, Sabrina, you should totally hit her. It's almost like Sabrina was driving on the attention that she got just because of this fight. I was keeping silent, but the guys were like, Selma, are you gonna hit her too? I said, no, definitely not. When we got out of the train, the guys made their own version of the story and told Lisa. Lisa thought that I was going to hit her. Lisa walked up to me and said, hit me, come on, I know you want it, hit me in my face. That's when it got really out of hand. We were literally standing in front of each other, screaming at each other with the entire class around us. That's when Sabrina got involved again and she said to Lisa, with your ugly eyebrows and your fat body, you're so ugly. And I thought, stop. I'm not gonna say anything anymore. Sure, I don't like Lisa and I don't like her minions, but I would never say anything about the way someone looks. That's when the teachers came in and pulled us apart. That's when we went on to the next excursion, but it just didn't sit right with me that Sabrina made fun of the way Lisa and her minions looked. So I walked up to Lisa and her friends and I said, actually, I want to say something. And they said, no, we don't want to hear anything that comes out of your mouth. I just want to say that I don't agree with Sabrina talking about the way you look. I would never say something like that, so if you feel like I said that, I want to say sorry. All of a sudden, something changed on their faces. They were like, that's so sweet of you to say. But we were behaving rather childish, so we want to say sorry. They apologized to me?
Am I wrong for checking my husband's dash cam footage on his car without his consent? I, 34 female, live with my husband, 37 male, and daughter, 7 female. My daughter and I recently went on a short trip out of state while my husband stayed as he had work and was supposed to look after our dog. On the last day of our trip, we got a call from my husband who was acting distraught and said that our dog Ellie had run away and that he could not find her. He claimed she just bolted away from him in the park into some bushes and he could not find her. Our dog is quite small, a mini poodle mix and almost 13 years old. She is still active, but it is really unlike her to run away from us, and I was suspicious but chose to believe my husband. My daughter and I were in grief, but we did not want to blame him. When we came home, he seemed surprisingly okay, unlike us. Ever since the pandemic, my husband started working from home, and he has always been annoyed at how much attention we gave Ellie and hated how Ellie begged to sit in our laps and his while he worked. A few days later, we got a call from an animal rescue in a neighboring state quite far from us that she had been found. I picked up the phone and it was on our landline, which we almost never use these days, but that was the contact on the microchip. I told my husband and he just said, "That is great, I'm so happy." But it felt kind of blunt and insincere. I said it was strange that she got so far and he responded that someone must have stolen her and then abandoned her. This made little sense to me as to why that would happen. When he was out drinking with his buddies, I copied the videos from his dash cam for the days I was away and saw that he had indeed taken Ellie far out of state and clearly dropped her in front of his car, thrown a frisbee-like object into a field, yelled fetch, and drove off without her. I was livid and confronted him, and he just stupidly muttered how he dropped her there so she could find a farm and have a better life, and then the next day got really angry at me for viewing his dash cam and called me and my daughter an asshole. Bro, what?
Get ready with me while I tell you guys the story of how my friend and I found a human skeleton in our hometown back in the day. If you are one of the people who didn't believe my last story time, you might want to click off now because this story is so insane that it does not even sound believable. Also, my new balayage is making an appearance in this video. I hope you guys think it looks good. For context, this happened around the time when school was online because of COVID, and the only socialization I got at all that year was just going on walks outside with my friend who is also my neighbor. So one day after online school, we decided to go on a walk as per usual, and the day was very, very dreary. I grew up in Washington State, so that was kind of the norm, But we just got a very bad vibe from the weather, and the entire time we were walking, we were literally joking about how we felt like we were in a horror movie, and we were talking about which horror movies were our favorites and which ones we think we would survive. Looking back, that was definitely foreshadowing of what was going to happen later that day, but we did not know what was in store. So we're walking along this trail in our town, and we noticed that this fenced off area was right against the trail, and it belonged to a storage unit company that, you know, people pay to leave their stuff at. And we noticed that the gate for this company was slightly fallen over. And obviously being teenagers, we're like, oh, like, why don't we just sneak in through this little crack and we're gonna explore the storage unit area. So that's exactly what we do. So we're just wandering around, joking about, you know, peeking into these little like storage unit areas and seeing what there's inside. All of a sudden, the friend I was with notices something in the distance, and it was very ominous looking. Basically, what we saw across this fence was a tree, and along the tree was a very big branch, and on that branch was a mass of fabric or cloth of some sort. And underneath that branch, there was something laying on the ground. This thing had something white peeking out from underneath it. My friend is really big on horror movies, so he immediately is like, oh my god, that's a human skeleton, like what the heck, that's a person who died. And I'm just like, bro, we live in such a safe suburban area, I guarantee no one has died here. So I don't believe him. And we go up to the fence, and he tries to zoom in on whatever it is on his phone camera, but at this time iPhone cameras were not that good, so we could literally not see what was across the fence whatsoever. I was convinced that it was just a dead animal or something, so I didn't even want to look any further because it was just kind of creeping me out. But of course my friend, who was super into horror movies, wanted us to go see what it was, so I agreed, and we snuck back through the fence where we came from, and we headed over to where this thing was. We approach it, and when I tell you guys, I look down at my feet and there is a human skull looking back at me. And I look over to my friend, he's on the other side of this thing, and he's looking down at human ankles peeking out of a pair of boots. Like, that is insane. As you can imagine, we were terrified, so we immediately run to the police station, shrieking our heads off because we were so terrified at what we just saw. And on the way, we also call our parents to let them know what just happened because obviously they probably should know. Then when we get to the police station, we immediately wave down the first cop car we see, and the guy comes over with absolutely no urgency. So the guy asks us what the problem is, and we're freaking out, and we're telling him we found a human skeleton. It was like in this secluded area by the trail. Like, we don't know why it's there, but it still has its clothes on. Like, it's probably been there for so long. And the guy kind of didn't believe us, but he ended up sending people over, and he was like, okay, like, go back to where it is and we'll have some cops meet you and you can tell them exactly what you saw and like what happened. And so we head back to the area where it is and we wait for the cops patiently. When they finally get there, they clearly do not believe us at all, okay? So the first cop is like, you know, kids, lots of people call in for like dead animals and they think it's something to worry about, and it never is. And we're like, no, like we definitely saw it's a person. And the other cop is like, you know, like if this is a TikTok prank, we're gonna be really mad, like we don't condone that. And we were like freaking out. We're like, no, we swear. And keep in mind, this body was kind of like secluded, so at this moment in time the cops couldn't see where it was, but we lead them over to where it is, and they look down, they look back at us, and they're like, okay, yep, we can confirm this is in fact a real dead body. You kids can like go home and we're gonna have to deal with this. And we're like, oh my gosh, they actually see that we are right. And I went home really shaken up, obviously, especially because I was so sheltered growing up because the area we lived in didn't have much crime or anything. That was the end of the situation until a cop came to my door just to talk to my mom and give her resources for traumatized teens in case like my friend and I somehow got traumatized from the situation, which I honestly did a little bit, but I didn't reach out to the resources or anything. He basically told us that a person who was homeless most likely had taken shelter under the tree and ended up somehow passing away and just was never found, you know, until the body decomposed. And yeah, that was kind of the end of it. At the time, this situation really gave me a new perspective on things, because realizing that a person had fully died for years and years, their body had decomposed, and not a single person went looking for them, was concerned for them, wondered where they were. It just made me really, really sad, and it really opened up my eyes to certain issues. And yeah, that concludes the story time. Thanks for listening.